Oh man. So I know this is somewhat old news, right? But I'm still kind of blown away by this one. So I recently stumbled upon this well, it started off as a video, and then I did some digging and started talking to people, and so the whole idea of a professional cuddler, like cuddles, like cuddles, cuddles, like a professional cuddler. And I mean, look, I was taken aback by this one, and I was surprised, I guess, right? Because I knew something of this. I didn't know. So here's the thing, right? Like my youngest son, he was born premature. He was prematurely born, and he was in the NICU for about a month. And there was this nurse on staff who would stop by and basically hold him. Right, that was her gig. And whenever I came by the hospital, which was basically every day from that point, or whenever my wife stopped by the hospital, we would basically, like, she would be the one that sets us up to like the skin to skin for a baby, right? So, but this is a different ball game over here, right? This is for adults. Like, so adults are paying other adults, and what they call them cuddle therapists, because it's apparently is a form of therapy, which that's also pretty mind blowing to me, right? But adults are paying other adults to cuddle with them. And there are parts of this that feel like really, really weird. Like, that's kind of strange, right? But then I started to dig even more. Well, I still think it's a little strange, but I started to dig even more into, like, first of all, about 95 to 99% of the cuddle therapists are women. And close to 95 to 99% of the cuddle clients are men. So that got me thinking, because not only is the majority of the cuddle clients men, but like there's a large percentage of these men who are over the age of 50. And then that got me thinking even more, but it breaks down even to, so the base that makes up these 50-year-old men who are paying for professional cuddlers. And I don't want to sound aloof with this one. I don't want to sound silly with this one, but the majority of the men who are paying for this are either divorced, widowed, or they, and here's the part that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, or they are actively married in a marriage that has no, like, physical contact. Let me start from the top and break that down again. Let's just say, stick with it, even 95% of the cuddle clients are men. A large portion of that 95% is men over 50. So you have 50 plus year old men, and a large portion of that is 50 plus year old men who are actively in a marriage that has no physical contact. Now that one really got the wheels turning. So, and before I even get, I don't want to over intellectualize this one, but it also kind of, like, it saddens me a little bit, right? That's kind of sad, right? A large portion of the men who are going to feel some physical contact with with someone else is a, a bunch of men basically who are married, and they don't have that intimacy in their own marriage. And I was just sitting there thinking like, yo, what's going on with dudes out here? But I don't think that's the question to be asked. I think the question really is, what's going on with females? Um, because and I say that in the sense that like I think I have a good grip on what's going on with men in general, at least men in America, right? There are a lot of things, and to be honest with you, a lot of this stuff is going to end up in the I don't know why I keep calling it the man episode, right? But there are a lot of things, there are a lot of issues with men in present day, okay? And I don't want any of those issues to kind of get shoved under the rug, because I think they 100% are getting shoved under the rug for reasons, okay? But I can't imagine, and I was talking to my wife about this. I can't imagine being in a marriage in which there's no physical contact, right? So if there's no, here's the thing I know for sure, right? Like if there's no physical contact and somebody's paying somebody to cuddle, is that like, are those men just as likely to go pay for like, you know, other things that are a little bit more elevated than that, but they maybe have some morals, right? Like they're basically paying for intimacy, right? Whereas it's the opposite of what the other side is there, right? Where it's just like, men who go pay for, let's just call them escorts. I know they're not all escorts, right? But men who pay for that type of service, if you want to call it that. But men who pay for that, they're looking for one thing in particular, and it's really simply just, for lack of better terms, to get their rocks off, right? You don't typically look for intimacy in that end. And the way I kind of look at the cuddle stuff is like, that's intimate, right? That's connecting, that's bonding with someone, right? Because we already know the science is already out there, the research is already out there concerning human touch and how important that is, right? Like I just explained how my son was born premature, and one of the main things that they did to help him grow was hold him. Like that human contact is vital in those beginning stages, but apparently it is also vital well into adulthood. So you have these men out here who are going, and they're not looking for the actual physical contact, just that, but they're looking for intimacy. And the part that even kind of just like confuses me even more is that a lot of these men will go to a cuddle therapist with their spouse actually knowing, with their wives actually know it, and encourage that they go get that intimacy somewhere else. Now, there has to be some nuance here that I'm missing. But that alone kind of just like, what? What? So, I mean, is it a situation in which the wife is basically, I'm not going to say like lazy, but like kinda, right? Like that's like, what is the point in being married then? I guess that one kind of bothers me a little bit. It's just like, well, what are you married for then? Like if everything that you should get from a marriage, your husband gets from outside of the marriage, what is the point in being in a marriage? I don't get that. So that one throws me off a little bit. Now, that's not to say that the cuddle therapist is wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I think it's strange for a married man to do it. But I fully understand. Again, understanding the benefits of human contact, human touch. There's the level of growth that happens there, and bonding apparently, right? But it's still one of those things where I get it if you're single. I get it if you're single, especially after what COVID did to everybody, or I'm sorry, after what the response to COVID did to everyone. Right? We were forced to isolate and stay 6 feet apart and all this fun stuff. There was none of that really, and it's just a very interesting thing to me that you would think that there would be more clients who were single and doing this, and they're alone, which in fact is a big problem for men in general. Loneliness amongst men, of course, that's another thing that's not talked about, but loneliness amongst men is a big, big problem. There's two big problems with men today. And I get, you know what, next episode, episode 9, it's going to have to be the man episode, right? Because I'm going to go into territory where it's just going to be. So there's two main issues that men face right now for a bunch of other nuanced systems that are coming into play. One is loneliness, okay? So for a single male, I kind of understand it. I understand going to a cuddle therapist because from the way I understand it, that there's a lot of, it's therapy. It's therapy. And so they actually will talk. Like the cuddle therapist will talk to you a little bit, and other times, but you have the ability to kind of talk out some of these things that are going on with you, and you can go from there. But the second big problem that men have in general, and I'll stop there, but the second problem is lack of purpose, right? And that lack of purpose shines through in so many different arenas. So in this case in particular, you have these 50-plus-year-old men who are in marriages, and there's no purpose. No purpose, no physical contact, no intimacy. That's the assumption, right? There has to be something else there. I'm not sure, though. And, the data on it, there's not a lot of data on it, so I'm just using rationality to kind of connect the dots a little bit. Those are the two big things, though. Loneliness, lack of purpose, that's taking men out. And we don't nearly talk about that enough because those are the two main reasons that are charted that lead to men self-deleting. And that's another huge, huge problem that is not talked about nearly enough. So I found this cuddle therapist thing very interesting, but it makes a statement, and it probably makes more statements than you would think. Now, I got a cuddle therapist at home. That's my wife. Ain't no way. Boy, ain't no way. Going to some other woman. Yeah. All right. I gotta leave it there. Cuddle therapist. Very interesting. Yeah. We gonna keep it moving. So if you like this segment, here's another one for you. Click over here. And if you want the entire podcast, go this way. Click on that one right there. And once again, I appreciate you. All right, you take it easy.